you want to do when setting trim, pitch the airplane first, okay, with pressure, and then once it's set, then you can trim. Once you set it to level and you let go of the stick, okay, so it just barely wants to climb, so you just give it a half of a notch down, and then you recenter it, okay, back at level, let go of the stick. See, now it's trim. So you pitch first, set it to where you want it to stay, and then if it departs that up, you need to trim the nose down. If it departs it down, you need to trim the nose up. Alright, so the airplane's nice and trim, you know, we're not fighting the controls at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into slow flight. We're going to bring the power back to 1500 RPM. And the nose is naturally going to want to come down because of the less lift. But we're going to just try and slow down to, you know, 70s range or lower. So, yep, power to 15. Now you're going to have to bring the nose up some because we don't want to descend here. We want to bleed speed. So bring that nose up here. We're just going to stay, you know, about 4,500 or so. So the airspeed's bleeding off. We're below 100 knots, so we can do 1 notch of flaps. So you can go ahead and put in 1 notch. Good.
I feel the drag.
Yep. You'll probably, feel a little bit of pressure change on the stick as well.
Yeah.
And then we're still keeping that nose up to continue to maintain altitude. It's going to be more and more back pressure as we get slower. So now we're below 78 knots, so go full flaps. Alright, good. Flaps are coming down. So we're nice and slow now. So now we've got our flaps are all the way down in their landing flaps. So now we're flying quite a bit slower, about 40 knots slower at 50 knots. So now we're still descending here, which you can see on the altimeter, and you can also see here on our vertical speed, we're descending at 400 feet per minute.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to bump our power back up to about 2,000 RPM. And that is going to arrest our descent. It's going to level us off.
As it does.
So we're using power to control altitude and pitch to control airspeed. Okay? So let's fly a little bit slower. Let's fly 50 knots. So remember, your power is keeping you up. So your power remains the same. Even if you want to slow down, just bring the nose up.
Yeah.
So bring that nose up and we'll get down to like 50 knots.
Okay.
And then you can see if you're in a bank, line those 2 triangles up and you'll stay in a straight ahead. There you go. So you can bring that nose up some, we'll fly 50 knots. So even smaller adjustments, you're taking, a couple degrees at a time, very, very slight, because that airspeed's quite sensitive. All right, so now we're going to fly at 60 knots. So let the nose down, maybe, to the horizon, and we'll increase speed to 60 knots. Okay. And our power is still staying the same because it's keeping our altitude the same. So we're pitching for an airspeed, and we're using power to control climb or descent.
There we go.
All right, there's 60 knots. Very good.
Yeah.
So now let's pitch for 65 knots. Good. So we can pitch for various airspeeds, okay? Now we usually approach the runway with full landing flaps and 65 knots, 65 to 70. So as we're coming down final, our speed shouldn't be, it should be 65 to 70, in that range. If it's, a couple knots slow, it's fine. If it's a couple couple knots fast, it's fine, but somewhere in that range. And with full flaps in, we can't exceed 78 knots. So, go ahead and give me a right turn. So it's clear, or I'm still right turn, a left turn. I said right, went left. So you can feel the controls are a little bit mushy because we have the lower power setting.
Yeah. Still at 65.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so we're going to simulate that landing stall. Okay, so we've got our flaps in, we're going to have our power back, and we're coming into land, and we see that we're not going to make the runway. So instead of adding power, we pull up. Okay, well that bleeds our airspeed off until we reach that critical angle of attack where the wing stalls.
Okay.
So we're going to practice a power off or landing stall.
Okay.
So just go ahead and ease your power right to idle.
Okay.
Yep, just smoothly back to idle. Okay, so that wants the airplane to descend. Okay, natural. We brought the power back. So now we're going to bring the pitch up kind of to the horizon. So bring that nose up. Yep, keep bringing it up. So you're going to need quite a bit of back pressure. Okay, so there's the start of the stall horn. You can feel the little bit of shaking or buffeting in the controls. So we got to continue to maintain that angle of attack. See, we're just letting that nose down slightly.
Yep.
So bring it back up. Hold that back pressure. And it's going to take more and more back pressure to keep the same pitch
Yeah, I see that.
because we're losing lift.
I see that.
So keep bringing that nose up. Keep bringing that nose up. Keep bringing that nose up. I want to find where that stall is.
Alright.
Keep bringing it back. Okay, we're getting real close. There's buffeting. That was a little bit of a break.
Okay. Alright, there we go.
Yep, so those are those stalls.
Oh, yeah.
So you're holding it into it. So you can go ahead and just let your nose down. There you go. Add your power in. Alright, I got the airplane.
Your airplane.
What the hell is that red thing over there?
I have no idea. Is it the sun? I have no idea.
It can't be the sun.
Look at that. That giant red thing over there. I don't know what that is. Let's go see.
Yeah, let's go see it.
Is it? We're gonna go see what the giant red thing is.
Okay, so I'll take that back. You take the airplane back. Alright, so I'm holding some back pressure here.
Okay.
So now we're gonna go around. So we see a deer on the runway and we decide we're not gonna land.
Okay.
So the procedure is full power, right rudder as we do it. So go ahead.
Okay, right rudder has anything?
Yep, so you're full power, right rudder. Okay. Yep, you can go wings level. A little bit less right rudder. There you go, and we're actually going over here.
That is so cool.
And then go ahead and bring up one notch of flaps. Okay, still climbing here.
Yep, wheels climbing.
And then go ahead and bring up your second notch of flaps. Yeah, it's the moon.
That is so cool.
The red moon rising. Alright, so, yep, we're flaps up now. So now we're going to level off at 3,500 feet and we're going to go right towards it.
You got it.
So we're coming up, go ahead and pitch that nose down. Yeah, put it all the way down to level. There you go, and then roll wings level. It almost looks like a hot air balloon.
It does, like that up. And we're watching it like it's moving. It's coming up.
Yeah.
It's like
Moon rising.
it's a beautiful thing.
See some things. Pull up a little bit to Once you're below 78 knots, you can go full flaps. And we're going to get it nice and slow, like 50 knots. So we're going to slow down to about that speed, and then you can bump your power back up to 2,000 feet, or 2,000 RPM, so that we can maintain altitude.
Alright.
So you can go ahead and just start bumping that power up.
Okay, up to 2,000?
Yep, about 2,000 keeps us level.
There we go. We're at about 56.
Okay. So, at 60 knots or so, with this power setting, it's not really giving us a climb or a descent.
Right.
You know, altitude's pretty fixed.
Yeah, I'm holding it steady too, you know.
Yep, you're holding that back pressure in.
Yep.
And this is telling you need just to step on the right rudder just a touch.
There we go.
Yep.
Whoopsie. Yeah.
Good. So here's 127. You can see the traffic coming
Yeah.
from the highway. And if you take a right turn here, yeah, you can see, I don't know if you're familiar, but 127 north of St. John's, it curves around St. John's right here. Off the wingtip. And then it goes up north of St. John's, and then it goes all the way up. You see all those blinking, the red lights?
Yes.
Those are the windmills.
Really?
In,
Oh
yeah.
my god, those are windmills.
Yeah.
That
So
is-
those are like Skynet blinking at you.
Oh my god.
But so then at the second turn up there where you see the windmills, that's Ithaca, then Alma, then the lights further up are Mount Pleasant.
Wow.
Yep. The little this east-west road that's kind of lit along there,
Yeah,
that's Fowler out there. The little group of lights out there. And if you give me a right turn, we're gonna turn all the way to the east here. So here's M21 right here. That's Ovid, the light's right there.
Oh wow.
North of that is Ashley. Well, it goes Ovid, then Elsie, then Ashley. And then out here near the horizon is Owasso. And then farther than that is Flint.
Oh cool. Owasso.
Yeah.
My boss is at.
Nice. Yeah.
It's less cool now, but it was really cool.
Yeah. Alright, so we're, in slow flight. Go ahead and swing me around here to the south.
Alright, here we go.
Alright, so now we're going to see how slow we can get this thing in a turn. So bring your power back to idle.
Okay. All the way to high.
Okay. Go into like a 30-degree bank turn. So the tall line it goes 10, 20, and then 30 to the tall line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just go ahead and bring your stick back here and just start to feel and see how slow you can get. So that's stall horn.
Yeah.
You're below 50 knots,
Right.
which is you're approaching a stall if you know that you're that slow.
Yeah.
You're holding lots of back pressure, so there's that it's telling you. You're getting buffeting, shaking in the controls in your butt. So keep bringing that nose up.
Okay.
Let's see how slow we can get this thing before it stalls.
Yeah.
So there's coming through 40. Go ahead and roll back into the turn a little bit.
I'm holding all the back pressure I got now.
Alright, and if you bring it back even further, you're going to start to get buffeting and shaking.
Yeah.
There's the edge of that stall. That's that buffeting.
Yeah.
That's the wing stalling, just like we watched.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and let the nose down.
Okay. Full power?
Yep. So when we let that nose down, we want to let it down just to the horizon. Because in that scenario, we're coming into land, we might only be a couple hundred feet above the ground, and we don't want to impact anything. So it's full power, nose just to the horizon. We just want to lower it enough to break the stall. I just want you to get really used to feeling it at the edge of the...
Yeah, the limits of it.
Exactly.
I do feel the stick. I got stick vibration, and it's very challenging to maintain lift or climb or anything like that. And I'm turning in like a concentric circle here.
Yeah.
So now we're stalling, and I feel it. So there we go.
All right, so nose down, full power, wings level.
Nice. I love this. I feel like I got it.
And as you add full power, you're adding right rudder to compensate. So all the way to full power, because we want to climb out and away. So full power, you got that right rudder, and then you're going back into a climb at 70, 68 knots. Now that you've got airspeed, bring up 1 notch of flaps. And this whole time we're pitching to fly at 68 knots. Okay? That's going to give us our climb airspeed. And as we bring the flaps up, the nose will have to come up to maintain that speed. Yep, so the nose is coming up. You're still climbing, so bring up your last notch of flaps. A little bit of right rudder. Step on that bar and get it centered up. So it takes quite a bit of right rudder in a full power climb.
30, right? 30.
Yep, and then go ahead and give some left stick so that you're not turning.
Oh, I see what you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go. So speed looks good. A little more right rudder. All right, so we're gonna give me a right turn. You can keep climbing, but we're gonna make a right turn.
That's clear, right? We are clear for right turn.
So while you're in this turn, maintain that 68 knots. The nose needs to come down a bit because our vertical lift is transitioning to horizontal lift that's taking us through the turn.
Okay. 68. Shoot.
That's all right. Again, it's all relative. You know, eventually we're, going to be very precise, but right now, you know, it's not really.
Let's try this. Let's try it again. Want to 68 turn
Yeah. So actually, we're at altitude now, so you can go ahead and bring your power back to 2,000 RPM. Let the nose down for level. Up to slow down to 50 knots. Now with the flaps up, you'll get a stall at a higher indicated airspeed. Okay? So when our flaps are up, you know, because our flaps are up right now, we don't have any down, you're going to get a stall at a higher indicated airspeed because of that angle of attack. So just go ahead, straight ahead. You can bring that power to idle. And just go ahead and keep bringing that nose back, get slower and slower. Let's see what speed we stall at.
Alrighty. 56 knots, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49. I feel is that the buffeting I feel?
Yep, just keep bringing it back.
49,
it hasn't stalled yet.
48, 47, 46. Oh, I love this. 45, 40.
All right, so there's like
there we go.
your first nose drop.
Yep,
that's the
like,
first indication of the stall.
That's like the threshold right there.
So like 46 knots with the flaps up is where you're going to stall.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and just let the nose down just slightly, right in there, and then you can bring, you would bring your full power right back up, but you can just leave it here.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to go into a power on stall. That's where we are just taking off. We lift off and we bring the nose way up. Okay. And we're at full power. The airplane's clean. Flaps are up.
Yep.
But we get that angle of attack too high. Okay. So, yep. So slow back down to 60 knots.
Okay.
So bring that nose up. And once we get to 60 knots, we're going to go smoothly into full power, and we're going to use lots of right rudder to keep us straight, and we're going to climb.
Okay.
our pitch is going to come up like above the 15 line. It's going to be up in like 20 degrees pitch.
Okay.
Yep. So lots of right rudder. Bring that nose up. Okay, some more right rudder. Keeping those wings level. A little bit more right rudder. So we're bringing that nose up. It'll never stall if we let the nose down. Okay. Yep. So we're keeping the wings level. Focusing on your rudder. Yep. A little more right rudder, and you gotta keep that nose up. If we keep letting that nose down, it'll never stall.
Okay.
So we'll see how slow we can get in a power on. So it's, we're getting buffeting.
Yeah.
That might be the edge of the stall right there.
Yeah. 41, 39 degrees. Yep, there we go.
Okay. So you just let your maintain full power,
Okay.
and you just lower the nose until you can see the skyline.
Okay.
So, you know, that edge of the horizon, you can just let that nose down just enough to let the airplane build speed and climb out at a normal VY, which is 68. So that was our takeoff stall. We take off and we bring the nose way up, but then our speed decreases and we don't have enough thrust to keep us on that climbing attitude, and the airplane stalls. Now, I got the airplane. So if we get in the, I'm gonna bring the car back. So as we're in here, okay, if the nose starts to drop to one direction, okay,
Uh-huh.
all right, that's because you have too much rudder in,
Okay.
okay? So I'm gonna push,
Yep, that's right.
so I'm gonna put in a little bit too much left rudder, okay?
Okay.
See how it's starting to roll?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that entrance to a spin. I'm using right rudder now, so you can put your feet up on those rudder pedals
Oh, yeah.
so that you can feel my inputs here.
I do.
So if we have too much left rudder, it's going to roll to the left, and that's a spin entrance.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Okay? And we stop that or counteract that roll, not with our aileron, so it's not stick, it's with rudder. So when we're up at the top of that, you know,
Uh-huh.
if we have too much right rudder in,
Yeah.
it's going to roll
Right.
this way. So we need less right rudder,
Right.
a little bit of left rudder.
Left rudder, even it out. Now we got. Okay.
So that's that spin. That's the entrance to the spin. The wings supposed to be installed, just
Uh-huh.
rolling in one direction.
Okay.
Forgot what we said. Oh, I was going to show you. Okay, so even if we're in a left turn, this is what was happening. The wing wasn't as stable when people were first learning to fly,
Uh-huh.
so they would enter spins a lot easier than this one does.
Uh-huh.
So they'd be in a left turn here,
Yeah.
saying turning from base to final to land.
Right.
They're slow or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and you know, say they don't have enough left rudder in. Okay.
Right.
So we're getting to the edge of that stall. Too much right rudder in. Even though we're in a left bank, it's gonna roll out and spin to the right.
Yeah.
So, so that's the scenario where a lot of people were dying. You know, they were making that base to final turn,
Yeah.
and they overbanked the airplane, didn't have the right amount of rudder in.
Right.
They don't have enough power in, so they get the nose too high. They stall. They're uncoordinated, and they spin in. You know, 200 feet, which you can't recover at an altitude like that.
Yeah,
So
200 feet. No.
pretty dangerous situation. All right, so you got the airplane.
All right. My airplane.
So go ahead and go back into that high angle of attack. So bring the nose back up to like 20 degrees of pitch. We're gonna kind of go back into the edge of that power on stall. Okay. So we're getting, you know, slow near the stall speed. Use that now. See how it's rolling to the left? You need right rudder. Okay. Now you want to be very gentle with that, because if you like jam right rudder in, we'll roll back the other way.
Right.
So it's rolling to the left, a little bit of right rudder.
Yeah, you're right. It is instinctual to want to go the other way, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's instinctual to want to use the stick to correct for those banks,
Right.
but that's incorrect. That will actually stall one wing more than the other. know, this is telling you, okay, you need more right rudder. What is actually telling you what rudder input it is it the airplane banking in one direction.
Yeah.
So going to